everybody. Welcome to Boxing for Real. I'm your host, Don Omega. This is my co-host, Iron Truth. We're back again to bring you another special show. The other one, I think it went pretty well, so we're going to do another one for you. Okay, this time our special topic in boxing is going to be that boxing has a lot of problems and it needs one central company. Boxing has got to get more organized. That's the only way it's going to get more fans. That's the only way we're going to keep getting bigger. And what I mean by needs one company, take a look at all these individual sports, like
the BA.
PGA, individual sports right now.
Yeah.
Just because boxing's an individual sport, I don't really like these sports. It's just an example. Tennis, golf. I told you I don't like these sports. Bowling, freaking bowling.
Yeah.
These sports have individual companies. PGA, I think the PBA, and I don't know what the tennis one is. I think WTA or something. I'm sure someone will be telling me. Anyhow, they have organizations that all these players are under. Boxing doesn't have that. Boxers have to go through promoters. And that's the only people they can really sign with to get money. It shouldn't be that way. Boxing is the only sport that I can think of, that I know of, that the champion has to pay to hold that title.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of you are aware of it. Most of you that are watching this show should be aware of it. But each title that a boxer has, he has to pay 3% of his purse to hold that title. He has to pay, like the WBC, he has to pay them 3% of his purse to hold that title. Yet they call themselves a non-profit organization, which I think is a bunch of bull. But anyhow, also these sanctioning bodies can be very well corrupted, as has been well documented. Don King, Bob Arum,
ranking dead guys in the...
They can go and pay these sanctioning bodies off, do favors for them, and then their fighters naturally go up in rankings.
It's just a way for the promoters to get whatever they want, to get whoever they want ranked to fight for a title.
And even without corruption, somehow some of these horrible, horrible fighters get ranked anyhow that don't belong.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean,
there's plenty of examples. I can't even think of these guys' names who are ranked.
Let's take WBA, the WBA belt in the welterweight division. I don't think Zab Judah is even on the list for the top 15 ranked fighters. You're telling me there's 15 fighters that deserve a title shot more than Zab Judah? In the welterweight division. Most people would say he's the third best at the very worst in the welterweight division, behind probably Margarito and
the welterweight ranking should be something like this. If not this exactly, but it should be something like this. It should be Floyd Mayweather
as the champ, of course.
Judah, Margarito,
Collazo
helped Baltimore since he got the win, whatever.
Ricky Hatton.
The Paul Williams guy.
Absolutely. Well, now Carlos Quintana, who just beat Joel Julio. Joel Julio should be on there somewhere.
And
even after
these
this
people
loss.
should be your top 10, but you don't have a lot of these in the top 10. It's like, it's guys like
Mark Suarez. Kermit Cintron, who, maybe he belongs there. Mark Suarez, absolutely a journeyman at the very best.
At the very nicest. Someone like Jaime Rangel, if he moved up, he'd probably be a top 3 welterweight.
Yeah, he'd be in line for a title shot somehow. Don't know how, but that's the problem.
Wayne Martell type people. We don't need those kind of people ranked.
We need those people
in the top 10.
We need those people for upcoming prospects or for people coming off a loss looking to build their confidence.
And if those people are supposed to be ranked, why aren't they being shown?
Yeah.
So we even know about them or anything, but they're not. And so we need one title per weight class, first of all. One world title per weight class. If they want to have national titles and regional titles, that's fine. But only have one of each in each weight class. Like, one world champion. One company could do this. One company can make the rankings. Have something like, in college sports, I know they have a poll, some kind of poll that the writers poll and such, that they could get input on from the media that they want, and even have a trainer's poll or something for boxing trainers, since there's not really coaches. Have a boxing trainers poll to have their opinion of who should be ranked.
And at least that'd be something. They have some knowledge of the sport, of course, more knowledge than these sanctioning bodies have by the people who are owning them, apparently. Just absolutely a horrible thing in boxing going on with all the belts.
It confuses casual fans.
Absolutely.
And then casual fans get scared off from the sport. They don't know who the
champs are. They don't know who.
There's a casual fan right now doing his own show who, we'll just leave it at that. He's a casual fan and he's doing his thing, but it's clear he doesn't quite understand sometimes who some of these champions should be, I don't believe. But there's people even worse than him, believe it or not. And I would be fine if there were a national champ. I think it'd be, have the U.S. champ, have the British champ, have the Canadian champ, I guess. But and then that could even be a way for some of these guys like your Wayne Martells, if you want to get those kind of people title shots, let them win a national title.
If they're the champion of that country or whatever, then they've gone through people over there. So, let's match them up. Let's match the best of that country against the best of this country
could
or
even
another
have a
country.
Tournament of champions.
Absolutely.
Have a tournament of the best, the 8 or 16 best national champions. Have them go at it for a few months, and the winner of that gets its world title shot.
Yeah.
You could also have regional titles, like in the United States. Have the Northeast champ, the New England champ or something. Have the West champ, the Midwest champ. I guess the Southern champ. That might be pretty crappy.
Hard to find, yeah. They'd be out in the first round of the tournament for sure. But
then have these regional champions get in line for the national championship and so forth like that. It'd make things. I think it'd make things more exciting. It'd give something for these prospects to be built through too.
Yeah, that would give them a chance to.
And it'd give them incentive for a little belt that would actually mean a little more than the current.
Yeah, like
crappy titles
WBC Youth Intercontinental titles.
No one cares about that.
Nobody sees that as a real title, of course.
But if you built it in a regionalized system, it could actually be something. It could actually have a little more meaning, especially if you only have one of these belts per weight division.
Yeah.
Don't go cluttering it up with all these titles. Also, the way boxers are paid is absolutely ridiculous. People say, I heard George Foreman on Stephen A. Smith's show a few nights ago say that boxers are overpaid. I don't know what he's thinking. They're underpaid, if anything. Listen to the breakdown of how fighters get paid. I've done a lot of research on this. Boxers, the promoter takes 30% of their purse. The government, usually there's a 30% government withholding for most major world-class fighters. The manager, if a boxer has a manager, the manager gets 10 to 15%. The trainer gets 10%. And each sanctioning body, that's the ones that give these titles, each title is 3% of the boxer's purse. You add all that up, 30%, 30%, 10%, 10%, 3%. That's 83%.
And that's just if they have one title, of course. If they have two, it's even more. It's even another 3%. Say if they're a unified champ and have all 3 or 4 belts, that's 89% or 92% of their purse gone. And I mean, that's absolutely nothing.
That means fighters are getting between 17 and 8% of their purse.
Yeah.
And that's just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
They're being robbed, and it's not right. Also, boxers right now, since it's not under one company, they don't have a lot of benefits. They don't have a lot of options after their career is done. Let's face it, 99% of boxers, pro boxers, aren't going to make it. They're not going to become the champion. That's one of the great things about the sport. Whenever someone becomes the champion, which right now, usually, they have to become like the undisputed champ since there's so many belts and all that confusion.
Have to
But,
beat everyone to be
there's-
considered the champion.
There's a lot of fighters that are going to get knocked out. They're going to get dropped by their promoter, and then they're going to have nothing to go on. So what are they going to do?
These promoters are, most of them, pretty much all of them, I would say, are besides De La Hoya in his promotions, Golden Boy.
So far from what we've
So
seen.
far, he's done excellent so far. They seem to care about fighters. They're former fighters themselves, current fighters themselves, so they know what it's like to go through these kind of things. So they're trying to treat their fighters right, which is great. That's a great step in the right direction. But
But
got
it's
guys.
not enough. It's not
no,
enough.
absolutely not. But you got guys like Bob Arum, Don King, Lou DiBella. All these guys are very corrupt. They rob their fighters left and right. They treat them horribly. Then as soon as they get a loss, they're done with them.
They might treat them great to their face, but what they're
Yeah.
doing to them business-wise is horrible.
Right. Of course, they're not going to get up in their face and say, "Hey, I'm screwing you." But But Lou DiBella, one time, he was the matchmaker on HBO Boxing After Dark back in 1996, and Junior Jones fought Marco Antonio Barrera, and for some reason he wanted to prove that Barrera could get beat or something, I don't know, and I think he was promoting Barrera at the time, and he wanted to match him against Junior Jones just for that reason. Roy Jones himself was sitting ringside, and he overheard DiBella bragging about the fact that his fighter just lost, and he was saying, "I told you I could get anybody beat. I told you I could do this." And Roy Jones was absolutely shocked and disgusted at this, as anybody should be.
Also, there was a story with Bob Arum and Top Rank Promotions. For some reason, they were in cahoots. Someone with Top Rank. I'm not necessarily saying Bob Arum, but someone. As I read through a boxing site with a man named Pedro Fernandez, who I think has a lot of credibility, he basically he did an Operation Yori Boy. It was an article on his site. I'm giving you credit, so I think his site is ringtalk.com, I believe.
I think so.
And anyhow, he basically said that Yori Boy Campus was fighting Oscar De La Hoya. This was when De La Hoya was still with Top Rank, and Bob Arum was pretty much Arum's people, and all were screwing over Yori Boy Campus. Yori Boy was supposed to get paid, I forget how much he was supposed to get paid right now, let's say $1 million. He was supposed to get paid as $1 million, and, basically, it showed the stub for his payment. They had the 30% promoter thing, all the percentages that were taken out, and it even had a $10,000 or $30,000 anti-doping fee, which was a drug test. It was a urine test, which at the very most costs $400. That's if you get it shipped overnight.
If you have the absolute works done to it.
That's the deluxe car wash edition of the urine test. $400. But no, they charged $10,000, screwing him over. That's not the worst of it. The plot thickens. Yori Boy, there was a check made out. He wasn't paid right away. They paid him like $20,000. Then there was another check made out from Top Rank to a mysterious place called Star Trucking. And when you dig deeper into it, Star Trucking, a fake company, by the way, was actually owned by Yori Boy Campus's own manager. And basically what I'm getting at is Yori Boy's manager was the one screwing him over with Top Rank, screwing him out of his money. And I don't know what Yori Boy actually ended up getting. It wasn't anywhere near $1 million. And he obviously lost the fight as well. And he got nothing. He got screwed over big time. I'm not a big fan of Yori Boy Campus. I'm just saying it's wrong what happened to him.
Bob Arum, people can say all they want about Don King. I'm not saying Don King is a great person or anything by any means. He screws over his fighters also. But I'd take Don King any day over Bob Arum. Bob Arum is the absolute worst promoter in the history of boxing, I think. Maybe you had some worse ones in the early 1900s, possibly. Of course, I'm sure they treated black fighters horribly, as some still do. But anyway, I would take Don King over Bob Arum any day. Bob Arum, he criticizes his own fighters constantly. When Floyd Mayweather was with him, thank God he's away from him now. I don't know what took him so long to finally get away from him. Criticized Mayweather and talked bad about Mayweather every single chance he got. Of course, he's still doing it now. He will continue to, I'm sure. But anyway, just glad that Floyd is away from him.
And these are reasons that we need a single company. We need to get rid of these promoters where they can't be doing this kind of thing to these fighters. Also, if we get boxing, if we get it in a single organization like an NBA, like something like that, advertisers will feel more comfortable advertising with the program, and it can get back on free TV.
Yes, where everybody will be able to see
or
it.
Or at least on, like, free cable channels.
Yeah, like,
with your basic cable.
Like ESPN or something, yeah.
Or the boxing channel if they come out with it.
Absolutely.
That would be a perfect venue for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the boxing channel. And then you can also have your main fights,
yes.
your big mega fights on NBC, on ABC, CBS,
and the fact that you will be able to make these big mega fights easily without these promoters. Well, no, my guy's not fighting for that. My guy's not doing this. I'm not around that.
The fights would be scheduled. They would not be negotiated.
Right. They would not be optional. Let's say Hatton and Judah were going to fight.
Well, they get Judah, whichever one is the champion.
Right.
The challenger gets ranked, and the champion, he may have an option, but he has to choose between 3 or 4 fighters that are actually good.
Yeah.
Like, say, he's got to choose one of the top 5 fighters to fight.
Between Judah, Collazo, Mayweather, say if Cotto moved up, something like that, not between Judah or Mark Suarez or Judah.
It would be 5 good fighters.
5 actually top fighters.
And then if he kept winning, eventually Judah would become the number 1 ranked fighter, and they would have to fight.
They would have to fight him, and Hatton could either choose to fight him,
or give up his title.
He could give up his title, which he would immediately be stripped if he wouldn't fight him, proving that he's a coward, so everybody could move on from it.
And he would probably be fine. There would probably be some kind of system in there to fine fighters for giving up their titles for no reason.
Yeah.
And also, what I would also love to see this also spawn off to get boxing some help. Like, the company would also have health benefits and stuff, programs to get fighters a life outside of boxing. Like, once a lot of these guys that aren't so good, once their careers are over, where do they go?
Nowhere. Absolutely.
And they have nothing to fall back on. A lot of them have no education or anything, blah, blah, blah. So you don't want them to have to go to work at a grocery store, McDonald's or something. So what can they do? If there's a package for them whenever they sign up with this company, they can have some money to fall back on.
Right, they can be putting some away.
They can take care of their family. Right. They can have some money for their family.
Right. Just like any other job does, basically. Most jobs,
also,
at least. When
you've got a professional company like that, like the NBA, what else do you have? You have a great amateur program. Basketball is amateur program. Basketball is in college.
Yes.
It's in college, and it's in high school. It's in middle school.
Yeah.
You even
everywhere.
And these basketball players get to start out. There's plenty of avenues for them to get into the sport. Well, boxing needs that as well. It's not very easy to become an amateur fighter at this point. First of all, you have to be in a city with a gym, and a lot of smaller places, believe me, we know, don't have many gyms around. The closest boxing gym to us is like 30 miles away, and it's not that good.
Terrible. Not even a ring. It's the ropes around the wall, basically.
That's actually pretty common in gyms, but it's unfortunately that's way too common in some gyms, but it's not. I mean, they have all the equipment. Don't get me wrong. They actually have a lot of the equipment you need to train properly, but it's a small, crappy gym. That's what a lot of these places are like. If we could get boxing back into college, if we could get boxing amateur, if we could get NCAA boxing tournament.
And also, that'd be great.
have boxing and have scouting for the professionals.
Yes, these people could bring boxers to the pro ranks, whatever.
You see a fighter that's in the amateurs that is obviously a powerhouse, but he's losing some fights because of the amateur scoring, which we would want to improve upon that too.
Absolutely,
believe me.
that's horrible.
We would want to improve upon that as well.
They base it on how fast three judges can press a button. If one judge messes up and accidentally doesn't press that button within, a second or 3 seconds?
A few seconds.
After the punch is landed, then, tough luck. They didn't get that punch counted.
And basically what that means to everyone, there is no such thing as combinations landing.
Just one at a time.
And counting for that fighter.
Yep.
It's impossible for combinations to count.
Right.
And basically, like, a knockdown counts the same as a punch.
Yes.
So a boxer is actually worse off scoring a knockdown under that system unless they knock their opponent out.
Yeah. Another thing, you were mentioning the college boxing in high school and all that. Teddy Atlas has brought this up a few times with Bernard Hopkins when they've had him on Friday Night Fights. He said to get it back in the prisons around the world, and because they used to have that apparently. Well, that's how Hopkins started. As we all know, they had boxing in prison. He became the prison champion of Philadelphia and all these.
Boxing is a great sport that takes a lot of discipline to actually do. Anyone that would go through that prison system would actually get some rehabilitation.
Would learn a lot of discipline. That's what Hopkins did. Look at him and what he's done.
Look what he's
career.
accomplished.
Exactly.
He's one of the best fighters of all time.
Yeah, no question. And
he came through the prison system, so get that back in prison.
Absolutely, they need it, and hopefully those two will go on a crusade to get that back. They've said that they wanted to do that, so good luck with it.
Okay, getting back to the college system, also, by them going through college programs, that would also give a lot of these fighters, like I said, most of these fighters are not going to make it to the championship. They're not going to make these millions of dollars. Some of them will be able to, but a lot of them won't. And what some of these fighters that don't do so well, that find that boxing isn't what they're going to be able to make a living at, they can have some kind of education, they can have some kind of degree like these basketball players, like these other athletes that go through a college system. They talk about, well, boxers need something to fall back on, give themselves something to fall back on. Let them have some kind of a degree, the ones that finish and then turn pro, have them have that for themselves, so they have something. Also, whenever boxers do turn pro, one great revenue that a lot of other athletes have, that a lot of boxers you don't really see them having it, are endorsements.
Yes.
Nike and Reebok.
Brand Jordan. Floyd Mayweather recently did sign with them. Andre Ward, the Olympic gold medalist also. But all of these endorsements, they're doing all kinds of things with pro athletes everywhere. Get boxers in there too to do it and give them these benefits.
And if they're under a single company, it'll be a lot easier for them to get that.
Right.
You can have that company. Let's call it the IBL, International Boxing League, for right now. Mm-hmm. You could have the IBL merchandise. You have your IBL boxers' robes, boxers' trunks, boxers' T-shirts, and such.
Absolutely, just like the jerseys for the NBA.
Be all licensed.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it'd be a great thing.
Video game. You could have every single boxer that's currently active and have
a legends like they do in all the great NBA games that they've came out with. They have even Jordan on them now, which never thought I'd see that for quite a while.
Yep, they didn't want to do that for a while, but also Major League Baseball games. They do that with that. I'm sure they do it with probably, I don't know, other sports.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they could do that with boxing. It would sell great. I would be first in line to get it.
Absolutely.
And
boxers deserve every benefit that all these other sports are getting, and to be quite honest, they deserve more than that because they're doing a much tougher sport. There was a ESPN, something on ESPN about 2 or 3 years ago saying that boxing is the hardest sport. There was a scientific study done on this by people that aren't even boxing fans or casual boxing fans at the very best, and even they realize that this is the toughest sport around. There's nothing that takes the kind of dedication and the focus and just the training, all around training and seclusion that these top fighters live in. You don't have to do that with any other sport.
Yes,
So,
this scientific study, I forget who did it, who put it out, exactly what university or whatever, but whoever did it, these scientists went in, they did this battery of tests and looked at all these different tests, and the one that kept scoring the highest on all these tests was boxing. And they concluded in their report it wasn't a boxing promoter that did this or anything. It was an independent study, and they found that boxing was the toughest sport. The second toughest, I believe, was amateur wrestling. You can go and look that up. Boxing was the one that they said was the hardest to do.
number one.
The number one most physically enduring sport there is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's over Ironman. That's over the bicycling crap that they love to talk about. That's over football. That's over everything.
Everything. Boxing. But another great thing, it's a one-on-one sport. You can't, okay, I'm having a bad night, okay, pass it to your teammate. You don't have anybody else to rely on. Okay, I'm in a jam here, I'm going to throw the ball to my other teammate. You know, it's a one-on-one thing. If you don't have it that night, you're screwed. If you do, and the other guy does, then you can test your wills against each other. Just a great sport all around. It needs help. It needs the benefits. So we need to get something done.
We need to get some of these bad decisions out because, unfortunately, sometimes even when when you are at your best, sometimes, and you do impose your will over the other fighter better, sometimes you lose anyhow. We've seen plenty of that. We're not going to go into that, but we've seen plenty of that. And we just want to get that fixed, as I'm sure everyone that watches boxing would love to get that fixed.
Horrible decisions.
And, well, thank you once again for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your night. Watch all of our videos. We're going to have more for you, so stay tuned.